Hi, my name is Dawn Dickenson, and today I'm here to give you a virtual tour of the Verde Valley, Arizona. And some of you might not know where Verde Valley is, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a geographical explanation and tell you about the attractions of each one of these 7 or 8 towns here in Verde Valley. So I'm going to first start out by showing you this map. I have a map, and you can see there's a little insert that shows you Verde Valley in relation to the state of Arizona. Verde Valley is about 2/3 of the way north in the state, and if you are leaving from Phoenix, what you would do is take the I-17 past Black Canyon City, where you have your first big hill out of town, gets you past Sunset Point to the plateau. You'll take a maybe half hour to get through the plateau past the Prescott and Prescott Valley exits, which would be taking you to the left to get to Prescott. But you're going to continue, and now you're going to come down off of the Mingus mountain range, curvy, windy downhill, and you're going to get to the exit of 260 at the bottom of the hill. Now the 260 is the kind of the hub of the Verde Valley. Now Verde Valley has 18 miles of the Verde River running through it. That's kind of how we got our name. But the first major hub would be the 260 exit. Your first town off the 260 is going to be Camp Verde. If you go to the left on the 260, west of the freeway, you're going to go a little bit through some of the rural areas of Camp Verde, and there's going to be the Out of Africa Wildlife Park before you start heading towards Cottonwood. Now, if you instead make a right or go east on the 260, you'll be getting to the heart of Camp Verde. Camp Verde has about 11,000 residents, and it's kind of a rural, actually it's a very rural town. You have a lot of homes on acreage. You have a cute little downtown area that has some buildings. There's a school, there's a cool little feed store there, and there's also a hospital, and then it continues to go east to Payson, Pine, Strawberry. But Camp Verde is what we're concerned about because that's part of the Verde Valley. I'm going to tell you about some of the things that go on in Camp Verde. First of all, Verde Valley is very noted for wine and wine tasting. So there's a lot of that happens. Cottonwood is probably the biggest town for the wine tasting, but it happens all through Verde Valley. There's a pecan and wine festival every March, which was canceled this year because of the virus. There is a corn fest in July, which was also canceled this year because of the virus. But hopefully in the fall of this year, maybe some of the other events can happen. There's a dark sky festival, which has to do with viewing of the stars in the fall. There's also Fort Verde Days, probably similar to Gilbert Days for any of you who came from the East Valley. In October, they have like a carnival, they got a parade, they decorate downtown with scarecrows, and they've got like this Halloween trunk or treat festival, which is kind of cool. There's also very close to Montezuma Castle, so it's kind of a fun rural town. Next, I'm going to tell you about Rimrock. Now, Rimrock kind of is where the Cliff Castle Casino is, even though that technically says Camp Verde, it's closer to Rimrock. So if you're into gambling, there's a huge casino, Cliff Castle, which is very nice. Now, Rimrock is also a cute little rural Arizona town. There's a lot of places that have horse property. I once showed a property there called the Zen House that had everything Zen. It had flowing water. It had all sorts of Buddha carvings and pyramids and stuff. It was fun. So you do get a wide range of property in both Rimrock and Camp Verde, where you might have a manufactured home on a big piece of land, or you might have a beautiful, huge luxury house there. So you do get a lot of variety there, but a lot of it is rural, and a lot of it you could have chickens or horses or goats or livestock if that's what you're looking for. Now I'm going to go back to Cottonwood for a minute, and Cottonwood is probably the main town in the main, when I say main, I mean the biggest population of the Verde Valley. So if you look at the map and you get off at the 260 and you go left towards the west, you'll head towards Cottonwood. You'll actually go through a little bit of homes from Camp Verde. You'll pass the Wild Out of Africa Wildlife Park, and then you'll get to Cottonwood. Now, Cottonwood has about 12,000 people. There's a lot of homes in Cottonwood, but you have, again, a big range. You got more in the town, then you have some homes in the outlying areas where you've got acreage. There's also apartments and townhomes there. Cottonwood has a lot of wine tasting events. It also has a lot of the big businesses. You've got a car lot there, you have Home Depot, you have Walmart, you have Fry's. So you've got the big businesses in Cottonwood. You do have the big, beautiful cottonwood trees, which are lined against the Verde River that is nearby. Now, if you go all the way to the 89A in Cottonwood, that's kind of like the main intersection, 89A and the 260. If you go towards the left, you'll be headed towards Clarkdale. Now, Clarkdale is a smaller town. Actually, it's probably most noted for the little railroad. There's a railroad that goes from Clarkdale kind of towards the Grand Canyon. It's about a 2-hour tour. I did it once in the 90s. It was a lot of fun, maybe 98. They feed you, you do a little trip, and then you come back. So Clarkdale is noted for that, but there are a lot of new subdivisions going there. I was through there yesterday and I saw brand new builds, model homes going there. Again, it's a very small town of 4,400 people, but it does appear to have a lot of activity going on. Now, if you continue on the road past Clarkdale, you will get to Jerome. Now, Jerome is an old, what we used to call a ghost town. It's really a tourist center, but Jerome, you'll start heading up Mingus Mountain Range, and then there's this tiny little town that hangs off the side. It's kind of known for being haunted. They do little, ghost tours occasionally. A lot of stuff is shut down now with the virus, but I was there yesterday. There's still a lot of tourists. On the weekend, there are a ton of tourists, but sometimes it's hard to get parking space. I parked there yesterday. I was able to eat at a nice place called Grapes, but there were a lot of cute little shops that we went to, bought t-shirts, little knickknacks, lots of shopping. There's a place called the Haunted Hamburger, which is kind of a fun, famous place, but I wasn't able to get parking, so I didn't get into that. There's also an old historic Catholic church. It's beautiful. It was closed when I went there yesterday, but in about 1996, I was actually a bridesmaid for a wedding in that church. So I know that the inside of that is beautiful. Also, if you look around in Jerome, there are a lot of scenic views where you could see the entire Verde Valley. I've got some footage I'm going to share with you of that. Beautiful views. And if you keep going through Jerome, you'll eventually go up Mingus Mountain to the High Pines, and if you'll go over it, you can get to Prescott Valley. But that's a very long, inefficient way to get to Prescott. You're really better off going around the mountain. So that's it for Jerome. Now, Jerome does have a very small population. I think it's less than 500. Occasionally, homes are for sale in there. I only see 3 or 4 on the market right now. There might be a little more if I looked in other sources, but not a real popular place to buy a second home, but more of a place where you're going to visit. Now, I'll tell you right now, Cornville, also in Verde Valley, is probably one of the more hot up-and-coming neighborhoods. So Cornville, for instance, if you're going north and you didn't get off of the 260, there is an exit called the McGuireville exit. Now, if you go left or towards the west, you'll go through Cornville. If you go right towards the east, you'll go through Rimrock. Rimrock being the small little rural community that we talked about, still with 11,000 people or so. One thing I didn't mention about Rimrock is supposedly there is a wolf sanctuary there. I have not seen the wolf sanctuary, but I want to look for that because that sounds really fascinating. Now, okay, so if you exit the McGuireville and go left, you'll be headed towards Cornville. Cornville has about 3,300 people, but it's a up and coming area. There are quite a few newer homes, but then there are some old gems there. There's a few restaurants, there's a feed store, a lot of homes with acreage where you could put, you know, horses or livestock. You can see in some of the footage, there are some townhomes that have gone up there. There's some very new subdivisions. And look, see the golf course, there are homes on the golf course, and that is very popular. What's probably put Cornville on the map, though, is 2 years ago, Senator John McCain passed away in Cornville. He had a home there in Cornville. They used to say, oh, he has a home in Sedona, but it really isn't Sedona, it's Cornville. Cornville being a bedroom community to Sedona. If you work in Sedona, this is a great place to buy your property in Cornville, and you can get to Sedona in about 10 minutes. You can even see some of the views of Sedona Red Rocks from Cornville. And in some of the footage here too, there's this cute little tree-lined street that goes to the older part of the neighborhoods. There are homes for sale in there if you're interested, but a very interesting place, Cornville, Arizona. Finally, I'm going to tell you about Sedona. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about Sedona because I have a lot of videos on it. I live here in Sedona, the village of Oak Creek. If you continue to go north on the I-17 and get to exit 298, which is the 179, that will take you all the way through village of Oak Creek. You'll go past Bell Rock, and now you're going through kind of the scenic areas where you can see a lot of the beautiful red rocks. On the right would be the Chapel of the Holy Cross. Be sure to check that out as you drive by. And then you get to what we call the Y. The Y is basically where it forks, and if you go left, you're going through West Sedona, the Red Rock Loop, and it'll get you eventually to Cornville Road, where you could go to Cornville, or if you keep going, you will get to Cottonwood. Now, if you don't go left and you go towards the right, you're going to be taken through uptown Sedona and eventually through Oak Creek Canyon, where they have some totally adorable homes, but not that many. You've got cute little hotels, you've got Slide Rock State Park. You keep going, you're going to be climbing in elevation. You should definitely drive this road sometime just for the view. It's beautiful. You're getting big ponderosa trees. Towards the way, there'll be some stops where the Native Americans have their little jewelry selling areas. Really fun, and keep going. You'll eventually make it to Flagstaff. So Sedona, I've said in the past, is about 10,000 residents, but it's a big tourist town. We have 2 to 4 million people here every year visiting. This year, of course, being a little weird because we shut down the town in the month of April. If you go through my videos, I have a video of that. It's just fascinating. Nobody here in Sedona. So probably fewer tourists this year than normal. But again, Sedona, of course, my favorite. I live here. And that's it. So that's my tour of Verde Valley for you. I hope you had a chance to figure out where they are from my references of the maps, but the main towns here being, you know, Camp Verde, Cottonwood, Rimrock, Sedona, Cornville, Clarkdale, Jerome, and a few other tiny little towns too. I hope you decide to visit here someday. If you want ideas on what to do, drop me a line in the comments. Of course, if you're interested in real estate, that's where my real area of expertise lies. I would be happy to talk to you or text you, talk about that. But I do post videos here every single week on living in northern Arizona. I hope you come back next week and see what I have to say, and have a good weekend. Be safe, be cool. It's going to be 104 in Sedona today. So if you're out anywhere in Verde Valley, make sure you have plenty of water and sunscreen, and wear a hat. If you liked the video, please do like and subscribe, and I will see you again here next week.